breaking down 3 very simple basic steps that you can implement in your lifestyle literally today if you're super serious about manifesting your soulmate relationship. Cutting off situationships and going completely solo on your manifestation journey to meet your soulmate can be very scary, very lonely, very isolating, but it's also super crucial and super important because cutting off your safety net so that you have nothing to fall back on is completely necessary if you're serious about manifesting your soulmate. I can speak on this from firsthand experience because I was still off and on with my ex before meeting my husband. We were off and on. We were very toxic together. We knew that we weren't meant to be. We knew that we weren't going to end up getting married, yet we somehow, for some reason, wouldn't leave each other alone. And I didn't open up the floodgates to receive real love and actually meet my husband until I completely cut off that relationship and stopped talking to my ex altogether. And I will be the first to admit that it is very scary to cut off a connection with someone who, even if it's toxic, they are familiar. Even though it's off and on, they are someone who brings you the comfort of familiarity. I personally have a couple of friends who are in sneaky link relationships, situationships, whatever you want to call it, with men who will never claim them. These men, guaranteed, will never ask my friends to be their girlfriend and definitely not their wife eventually. Yet my friends are settling for less. My friends are settling for breadcrumbs. My friends are settling for something that they hope will evolve into something more at some point, even though if he wanted to, he would. As a woman, wasting your youth with a non-committal man is one of the most lethal mistakes you can make. Lethal might be a bit dramatic, but it is because we're talking about wasted youth. We're talking about allowing a man to suck your youth. We know that men benefit from having a woman in their lives. They benefit energetically, they benefit spiritually, they benefit in so many ways from having the touch of a woman in their life. And so to give your youth to a man who's non-committal is honestly ridiculous, and it's just a waste of everybody's time. So bringing that back full circle, if you are hopeful about manifesting a relationship with your soulmate someday, but you're still entertaining the wrong person who you know is never going to settle down with you, they are never going to take things to the next level with you, what are you doing with that person? So that's where I was a couple years, or actually multiple years, because I've been with my husband for 4 years in total. We've been married for a little more than 1 year now. Mentality behind it is, well, I might as well have fun in the meantime. I can still hang out with this guy, hook up with this guy, go on dates with this guy every once in a while I'm waiting for my husband to come along. And I'm going to have to just pause you right there. You are allowing the wrong person to fill the space that should be open and receptive for your soulmate. You're allowing the wrong person to fill that space and fill that void. That person is more than just a distraction. They are serving as an energetic blockage to what you actually want to call into your life. And if you put yourself in the shoes of your future soulmate, imagine they're laying up with and hooking up with some girl who they know is never going to be their wife. Well, they're just casually hooking up with her because they know, like, my wife's on her way someday. I can still hang out with this girl in the meantime. That's kind of gross. That's kind of icky. A lot of guys do that, actually. That's how a lot of guys function, and it's disgusting. So let's not get on that level. Let's not engage in that type of behavior. What I did when it was time for me to really seriously buckle down to meet my husband was I stopped talking to my ex completely. I made it impossible for him to get in contact with me. In fact, I changed my phone number, I changed my email address, and I had already relocated to a different city anyway. So it was pretty easy for me to completely cut off contact, and I went into full manifestation mode. I didn't allow anyone to take up that space because I was leaving that space completely open for my future husband to come along. I didn't want the wrong person filling that space just to keep me distracted and make sure that I'm not bored. No. I completely accepted the fact that I might be bored for a bit. I completely accepted the fact that I might feel lonely for a bit. I accepted the fact that my ex and I used to talk via phone calls and texts all the time. My phone was going to be dry for a bit. I accepted all of that because I knew that my future husband was on his way. And so it was okay with me to accept all of those things. Like, I knew that the loneliness was going to be temporary. I knew I was doing the right thing by making space for him. Not gonna lie, it's scary jumping into the unknown because you're like, okay, I'm abandoning this person who brings me comfort and familiarity for the unknown. I don't know who's gonna come along. But what you have to remember is that it's not an if they're going to come along. You have to decide that they are going to come along. It's just a matter of when. And Thinking about when can be very frustrating because you don't know timelines and you can't predict anything, and no one can tell you when your manifestation is going to come to fruition, especially when it comes to love. You just have to decide for yourself, you are worthy of love, you do deserve love, and you are going to attract love. You are going to attract your soulmate. You might not be able to control exactly when he comes along, but you can control how receptive of an environment you create in order to attract him. So is the environment one where your situationship, ex-boyfriend, sneaky link, or whatever is constantly sharing a bed with you? Or is it a reality where there is open space in your bed, open and ready for your soulmate to join you? I genuinely feel like going off and on with my ex for 3+ years was the biggest blockage in my way for me to meet my soulmate sooner. I feel like I could have met my husband a lot earlier had I not had that toxic connection off and on and going in circles for 3+ years. So I feel like I really grew and evolved. And honestly, my eyes opened after I watched the movie The Secret, and I realized that I was creating energetic blockages in my life by continuing contact with my ex. So when I cut that contact off, it was literally 5 months to the day. January 1st was when I decided I'm done with this. I'm moving on with my life and I'm ready to meet my husband. And my husband slid into my DMs on Instagram on June 1st of that same year. So it was exactly 5 months to the day. And in those 5 months, I didn't fall back into my old patterns. I didn't allow myself to get back in contact with my ex just because I was bored, just because I was lonely, just because I was uncomfortable in the unknown. I sat in the unknown. I sat in the loneliness. I sat with a dry phone. I was manifesting. I was dead set on meeting my husband. Meeting my husband was my sole focus at that time. I said, I don't even care about any of the other manifestations on my list. I'm ready to meet my husband because I don't want to do life alone. I want to do life with my life partner. I want to create memories with my life partner, and I'm ready to start now. I don't want to waste any more youth. I'm ready to meet him now. And so that was the biggest leap I took. I left the comfort, I left the familiarity, and I jumped into the unknown, and I did it for 5 months without knowing that I was going to meet him. I had no idea he was going to slip into my DMs, but that's exactly what happened. There's nothing silly, cute, innocent, or playful about continuing to entertain the wrong person if you're serious about manifesting your relationship, because all you're signaling to God, all you're signaling to the universe is that you're not serious. You don't seriously want it. You don't seriously want to meet your soulmate because you're still around with someone who is not meant for you, and in your heart of hearts you know that he's not meant for you. Second tip is to make your list of requirements in your soulmate relationship, write it down, and do not waver from it. So example, I got in my journals, I was heavy in my journals morning and night because I was so serious on my manifestation journey. I was writing down, because I'm a tall woman, I knew I wanted my husband to be tall. So I wrote down, he is tall, I wanted facial hair, he has a beard, he has blue eyes, I love looking at beautiful blue ocean eyes. I wrote, he is a gentleman. He opens my doors. He buys me flowers. He takes me on dates. He loves taking selfies with me. That was one thing I really had to add because I've been in relationships in the past where the guy is just annoyed taking pictures. He just hates taking pictures. So I'm like, okay, I need my soulmate to love taking pictures with me and actually find it to be fun and cute to create memories together. I wrote that I love his sense of humor, that we are on the same page when it comes to religion, that we are on the same page when it comes to politics, that we are on the same page when it comes to remaining child-free because I am a child-free by choice woman. And if you're my soulmate, that means that you're never going to pressure me to have a kid. So these are a lot of things that I wrote down. Honestly, I wrote a lot of things and the list goes on and on. I would fill out journal pages describing this man and describing what my dream relationship with him would look like, how it would feel. I described the type of cuddling sessions we would have, the type of date nights we would go on, the shows that we would binge watch together, literally all of it. And before I met my husband, this is very interesting. I don't really talk about this often, but there was a guy who I met who matched, I would say, 90% of the list, maybe 85% of my list. He matched quite a few things. And I definitely thought, like, is this my soulmate? Because there's a lot of things here he's matching, but it wasn't quite it. It wasn't quite the entire list. So I definitely entertained that relationship for a good 2.5, 3 months because I thought, it's close enough. Maybe this is who I'm supposed to be with. But at the end of the day, I ended up cutting that relationship off completely because I decided I didn't want to waver on what I wanted and I didn't want to have to settle for less than what I wanted. And some of the things that he was missing from that list were things that were really important to me. Although he checked a lot of boxes, he was missing a few things. So I did kindly and politely let him know, like, hey, this isn't a match. Like, this relationship isn't working out. And I cut that off. And it was a little bit scary because I'm like, damn, like he was pretty close to everything on my list. Am I doing the right thing by cutting this off? And I don't talk about this often because it's kind of a surreal situation that I felt like I got so close to meeting the right person. And I'm so glad I followed my gut instincts that he didn't completely check off all the boxes, and I knew I didn't want to settle because I cut that off. And because I cut that off, I was able to meet my husband. If I had just said, you know what, this is good enough, this is close enough, let's just make it work, I would be deeply unhappy right now. I'm so glad that I cut that off and gave myself the opportunity to become receptive to meeting my husband, who actually matched everything on my list. Actually matched literally to a T everything I wrote down. I don't feel like I had to settle at all. So that makes me really happy. And I wouldn't have known otherwise because we can't see into the future. No one's psychic. We can't tell if we're making the right decision. All we can go off of is our gut instinct. I obviously prayed a lot to God about it for clarity and wisdom so that I could make the right decisions. By the way, I do feel God answered my prayer for clarity and wisdom about cutting off that relationship because I was asking him like, hey, please show me, is this the right person for me? Is this the person I'm supposed to be with? Because he's not matching everything on my list. Like, am I just being too picky? Like, let me know. So I was praying. My birthday rolled around, my 26th birthday. And it was really important to me that this guy I was dating would come to my birthday. I had all my friends and family coming in from out of town. It was a whole big thing. I rented furniture. I got catering. It was a whole big thing. And he had ample opportunity to request the day off from work. He didn't request the day off from work, and he ultimately did not come to my birthday. And that sealed it in stone for me that was not my husband. I knew my future husband would 100% go out of his way to show up for my birthday. I knew that my future husband was going to always go all out for me on my birthday because I know that women deserve princess treatment. That's just something that I'm not comfortable wavering on. So while I had a bunch of doubts about that relationship, I feel like God really kind of slapped me in the face and opened my eyes to, that is not your husband. That is not the one you're going to marry. And my birthday coming around and him being such a disappointment on my birthday was what really opened my eyes. So sometimes when you ask God for answers and clarity, he gives it to you in ways that are kind of painful. But I'm so glad that I went through that because I came out better on the other side for it. Because if he had shown up on my birthday, I might have been tricked into thinking that he was the person I was supposed to end up with. But him not coming to my birthday was such a wake-up call. It was a huge wake-up call that he was not right for me. And I ultimately ended up meeting my husband, who goes all out for me on every single birthday. Literally every year since I've been with my husband, piles and piles of gifts on my birthday, bouquets of flowers, cakes that are decorated with thoughtful words, date nights to sushi restaurants that I love, him taking me to hip hop nightclubs here in Las Vegas where we can just dance all night for my birthday. Literally every single birthday that I've had with my husband, he has made it the most special day ever. And I knew that I wanted a husband who was capable of that. So I wrote all of those things down, and my husband matches that list. And so I will say it is important to not waver from your list once you make it, because you're probably going to meet people along the way who come pretty close. People who might trick you a little bit and make you think like, oh, he could be the one. But if there's even 10% of things on the list that he's missing, truly reconsider if that's the person that you should be with. And if you have faith, if you believe in God, if you have a relationship with God, I would really advise praying for that clarity moment, because God gave me that clarity moment on my birthday. I truly fully expected that guy was going to call off work to come to my birthday, and he completely let me down. And that was my clarity moment. So, and thank God he did, by the way. I'm so happy he didn't come to my birthday. So God will provide you with clarity moments if you ask for them. Pray for it in Jesus' name. Okay, and the last one is about leveling the up and becoming the person that you would date if you possibly could date yourself. I'm talking physically, emotionally, energetically, financially, and in every other way that you can possibly think of. So let's start with physically. If you would date yourself as is and you feel so much self-love and so much confidence and so much body positivity, you can completely disregard what I'm talking about right now. But if you feel like you're insecure in your skin and you feel that there is room for improvement, then step it up with the improvement. For me personally, before I met my husband, I was also working on manifesting a job as a Las Vegas showgirl on the Strip, which is a lot of skin reveal. And so I was getting in really, really, really good shape to make sure I had a flat stomach and make sure that I was slim enough and slender enough to do the showgirl job. So calling in a showgirl job at the same time as calling in my soulmate relationship kind of went hand in hand for me, because I was already getting into really peak condition and really great physical shape. And I think that if I already loved myself and I wasn't even trying to get a job like that, whatever, I wouldn't have put such an emphasis on that. But I do feel that leveling up physically helped me feel so much more confident on my manifestation journey to meeting my soulmate. I was in probably the best shape of my life when I met my husband, and I feel like putting such an emphasis on this is part of the reason why. I also mentioned leveling up emotionally. I was seeing a therapist once every week via Zoom call leading up to meeting my husband, because I knew I didn't want to take any toxic behavior or any negative energy or any bad patterns I had from past relationships into my next relationship. I literally told my therapist, hey, I'm working on manifesting a relationship with my soulmate right now, and I don't want this relationship to slip through my fingers. I don't want to lose this relationship once I get it because I'm holding on to bad patterns from my past. Please help me work on this. Please help me heal. Please help me elevate. Please help me evolve. And so she gave me tools to add to my emotional toolkit so that I could better approach a romantic relationship. Instead of shutting down and isolating and going into silent treatment mode when I'm upset, I now know how to communicate with my husband when I'm upset. And that's something I used to do. I used to shut down and go into full hermit mode where I would completely go ghost on my partner because I didn't have any emotional regulation and I didn't know how to maturely handle conflict. So I went to therapy in order to solve that issue. I also mentioned energetically leveling up. So I was clearly on the biggest manifestation journey of my life leading up to meeting my husband. And I think that all women should go through a spiritual journey of evolution where you just really douse yourself in buckets of self-love and really get into alignment and put the law of attraction into practice. Some of the easiest ways to do this are by getting in your journal, daily manifestation journaling, where you are present tense scripting and calling into your life the things that you want to see in your life, including that dream relationship. Another thing is daily gratitude lists, where you are writing down all the things that you're grateful for, literally bullet point by bullet point. Another way is getting into meditation. Playing out meditation has always been a bit tricky for me because I get really distracted and bored really easily, but guided meditations on YouTube, especially the ones by Joe Dispenza, and there are several other people who put free guided meditations on YouTube. Literally lay down and close your eyes and have it guide you through meditation to level up into whatever it is that you're trying to call in, whether that's your relationship, money, a new job, weight loss, whatever it might be. There are guided meditations for all of it. And I feel that that actually really helped me on my manifestation journey because meditation dives into your subconscious mind, which, as a reminder, our subconscious mind has 95% of control, while our conscious mind only has 5% of control over what we manifest in our reality. So if you can get a wrangle on that 95% of control, then you are a really powerful person. And the easiest way to tap into our subconscious mind is through meditation. Another way to level up energetically is by surrounding yourself with people who speak the language of the law of attraction. If you are talking in present tense language, saying like, I'm so grateful that I've met my soulmate and that we have such a romantic relationship, and you're saying that out loud to call it into your life, but you're saying it to friends who don't believe in this stuff, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy and look at you like you're just weird and stupid. So if you are having these types of conversations with people who speak the language of the law of attraction, all they're going to do is lift you up. It's about being delusional. It's about having audacity. People who don't speak the language of the law of attraction think that we are crazy, but you have to be delusional if you want manifestation to work. It's actually part of the whole deal. I love being delusional. Being delusional is what allowed me to meet my husband, and thank God I had that delusion. I was delusional in the best way because I went from thinking that I was unworthy of love to delusionally believing that I was so worthy of love that I was undoubtedly going to attract it no matter what. And that's exactly what happened. Thank you for watching.